Order the Franklin Thursday.
Mayor Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Hogan, Commissioner Haley, City Engineer Morrow,
Here.
Alderwoman Day,
Here.
and Commissioner Leon.
Okay.
Commissioner Haley is absent.
Commissioner Haley is absent. We have a quorum. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's working. Excellent. Buttons are good. Item B, approval of the minutes. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of September 7th, 2023. We have a first
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. C, public hearing and business matters. Action may be taken on all matters following the respective public hearing thereon. Tax Incremental District number 9, public hearing regarding the proposed creation of Tax Incremental District number 9, the proposed boundaries of the district, and the proposed project plan for the district. A public hearing is scheduled for this matter. Mr. Riggets.
Notice is hereby given that the Plan Commission of the City of Franklin will hold a public hearing on September 21, 2023 at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held at Franklin City Hall located at 9229 West Loomis. The hearing will be held to provide the public a reasonable opportunity to comment on the proposed creation of Tax Incremental District number 9, its proposed boundaries, and its proposed project plan. The district's proposed boundary is identified on the map included in this notice. Based on the planned use of the properties within the proposed district boundary, the city expects to designate the district as suitable for mixed-use development. Projects to be undertaken within the district and costs to be incurred, project costs, will be for the purpose of promoting mixed-use development and will include installation of public infrastructure, payment of cash grants as development incentives to owners, lessees, or developers of land located within the district, professional services and organizational costs, administrative costs, financing costs, and other costs as may be necessary to implement the district's project plan. All interested parties will be given a reasonable opportunity to comment on the proposed creation of the district, its proposed boundaries, and its proposed project plan. A copy of the proposed district project plan, including a description of the proposed boundaries, is available for public inspection and will be provided on request during normal business hours in the Planning Office Department in the lower level of the Franklin City Hall located at 9229 West Loomis Road. Published September 6, 2023 and September 13, 2023.
Thank you. Open hearing. All right, we've got a brief presentation from gentleman from Ellers. Sir, you've got the floor.
Thank you. Donnie Williams.
Could we get
It's all yours.
name and address?
Cue up
Mayor?
the show.
If you could please start with a name, your name and an address, please, for the record.
Certainly, my name is Todd Taves and I'm with Ellers and our address is North 19 West 24400 Riverwood Drive, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Thank you. You've got the floor.
Thank you. So very quickly, I'm assuming all are familiar with TIF, but in general terms, what happens is when we create a tax increment district, we define a geographical area. Whatever property value is located within that geographical area as of the date of the district's creation, that value becomes known as the base. The taxes that are levied on that base value will continue to flow to the taxing jurisdictions as they normally do, meaning the city, the school district, the county, and the technical college will all continue to receive taxes in the normal fashion. Through making various expenditures within the district, the city encourages development that adds to the tax base. That additional development is the incremental value. The distinction between the base and the incremental value is that while they are taxed at the same rate, All of the taxes that are levied on the increment go into the tax increment district special revenue fund and are used to pay those project costs. When the district closes, that added value then is released to the general tax base, with all taxes then on that larger value going back to the taxing jurisdictions. This is the geographical area that is proposed for the creation of the tax incremental district number 9. The map reflects present land uses. This district would be designated as a mixed use district. A mixed use district must have at least 50% of its area suitable for some combination of commercial, industrial, and residential development, with a further stipulation that no more than 35% of the area can be developed as newly platted residential development. The table in the upper left indicates the various categories and percentages. And what this indicates is that 68% is suitable for mixed use. That meets the 50% minimum threshold, but 27% is suitable for newly platted residential development, which is under the 35% maximum threshold. So we do meet that criteria. Portions of the district are not suitable for mixed-use development. This would be primarily the right-of-ways that go through the district, as well as the city-owned facility located just on the south side of Ryan Road. I don't know, do we?
That may help a little bit,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
You have a mouse.
I can probably use the mouse, Mayor.
Okay, yeah, somebody I think in Scotty with ours over here.
Sure. So the non-suitable areas are primarily the right-of-ways, as well as the DPW site located here. So this type of district has a maximum life of 20 years. The objectives of this TID, as it is a mixed-use district, is to promote mixed-use development. There are two major categories of project costs. The first would be development incentives provided on a pay-as-you-go basis, which means that the incentives are not provided up front, but rather provided over time and solely limited to the tax increments that are generated by the development projects. So the catalyst project for this district is the new Karma facility. And we also have included PAYGO allowances for other development that may occur within the district over time. These are strictly placeholders. Whether or not any other development would receive an incentive would be solely within the discretion of the city on receipt of a request and an evaluation of that request. The intention is also that residential development would not be provided with incentives. Those incentives would be limited to future commercial or industrial projects. The other major project cost category would be the extension of public infrastructure, in particular sanitary sewer service, which is needed to make this area developable. So again, the initial project is the 225,000 square foot Karma Laboratories facility that would include office, industrial, and warehouse space. More broadly, in addition to the initial project, subsequent projects would provide the city with incremental value, employment opportunities, development of housing, and increased commercial and manufacturing activity. So same map, this one simply shows the location of the principal public infrastructure projects. So we've got a water extension to the Karma facility. We've got the sewer extension to the Karma facility. Sewer running along Ryan Road, eventually to the west. Would note that initially the plan is to run this sewer underneath Ryan Road to the footprint of the building, the same with the water, same with the street improvements in this location. Subsequent extensions of utilities to the west would be entirely development driven. So the idea here would be as development requests come in, that infrastructure would be extended so that the tax increment is generated and available to help offset that project cost. In terms of the dollars that are included in the plan, so phase one would be what is related to the Karma project. Phase two, again, would be the placeholders for subsequent development that may occur. Within that phase one, we have the infrastructure expense, which includes the sanitary sewer extension, the road improvements, specifically acceleration and deceleration lanes on 76, and then the sidewalk. These would be financed through city-issued bonds. There is also a pay-as-you-go development incentive in a maximum amount of $1,500,000. The next line item, project number 4, since the city would be financing the public infrastructure, we're estimating roughly $894,000 in interest on long-term debt. There's costs to issue that debt that are included. There would be some short-term advances to cover costs prior to the availability of tax increment that we would recover interest on, and then various costs the city would incur simply for creating and keeping the district open over its life. So all told, $4.6 million. Phase 2 would be additional public infrastructure as well as placeholders for development incentives, and again, related interest on long-term debt totaling $6.7 million. In total, $11.4 million in estimated project costs included in the plan. Karma is expected to generate approximately $14 million in incremental value as the result of the new facility. That's a minimum. The next 2 columns, the other commercial and industrial and the residential, this is simply analysis looking at the developable area within the other locations within the district and determining how much development and value could be placed on those individual sites. And planning provided us with a build out schedule for that. So again, this is simply notional. It reflects a particular scenario. Development could occur sooner, it could take longer, but the idea again is that the infrastructure would be extended at the time that it is needed to service the development. Under a complete build out scenario, the projection is $102 million in total incremental value over the base that's there today. That $102 million carries into the far left-hand column on this exhibit. And what we're assuming just for a status quo scenario is that that value once established would neither appreciate or depreciate in value, and that the tax rate would remain the same. If that were to be the case, and if the district were left open for its entire 20 years, we would collect about $28 million in tax increments. The final exhibit is the cash flow. We show that $28 million in tax increments coming in, proceeds of city financing, the estimated debt service on city issued debt, development incentives, the infrastructure projects, and then other expenses, which is the debt issuance expense as well as the annual administrative costs. And what this indicates is that over time, we would be bringing in more tax increment than the annual outlay, such that by the year 2036, we would have accumulated sufficient fund balance in order to pay off the balance of the city debt, as well as any amounts still owed on the development incentives. Again, this is a projection. Development occurs quicker, costs are lower, the district could close earlier. Conversely, if development takes longer, cost of financing goes up, infrastructure projects cost more, that date could slide back. So this is just a projection to show that the district is, from our point of view, economically feasible. In terms of the timeline, the Joint Review Board held its organizational meeting last week. If the Plan Commission this evening decides to advance this TID, this will go to the Common Council on October 17th for their consideration. And then we didn't put the date in here and it escapes me off the top of my head, John, but we have tentatively scheduled a final Joint Review Board meeting in the latter half of October, at which time final consideration would be given. And happy to answer any questions that the public or the commission may have.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, Commissioner Leon.
I'll defer to the public hearing first.
Okay, so we'll hold off. So now let's see, public hearing. Is it special notice or am I just simply opening it? So open as now, public hearing is now open. Anybody wishing to come forward, come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. And hope that's working.
Yep.
Yep.
Bruce Kienieski, 7719 West Coventry Drive. I'm just here in support of this. It's a long time coming. Maybe 30 years ago, we kind of talked about development like this at this intersection. And I believe I'm just sitting here thinking maybe about 10 years ago, the city had a survey out asking people what they thought the first TID should be in the new areas in what the Ryan Creek Interceptor, sir. This was my first choice, even though you're starting southwest, southeast corners, but this was my choice of what should be the first development with the TID. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. I'll open up now the comments from the commissioners. Commissioner Leon.
Thank you, Mayor. I have several questions. Just generally with TIDs, I have a lot of questions out of due diligence for taxpayers. I'll say overall, this sounds like a good plan, as I would expect. Who is the alder for the district?
Ed
Holfer,
Holfer,
and
District 1.
And he is not here tonight. I guess my first question would be to staff, and maybe the applicant could speak to it as well, but conversations with Alderman Holfer, and I assume he supports it, right? But maybe some of the comments that he's had about that.
Interject.
Please, Mayor.
Commissioner Leon, yes, Alderman Holfer has been involved from the first meeting moving forward with Karma and with the entire group. And with us here is Mr. Regitz and Mrs. Hirsch. And they can attest that Alderman Holfer has been there the entire time. So I'll yield to that.
To the applicant.
Oh, and our city engineer.
Well, and I believe the Southwest is District 6, and we do have District 6 alderman here.
Well,
So I mean, then
the project itself was Holfer, and I believe the new area is Jason Craig, and Alderman Craig is in the audience, but
sure. And then, I assume that the alder for the district reached out to residents and got input onto what they're looking for from it. So,
yes.
just generally speaking, and I know this intersection pretty well, it's far away from a lot of things. And I think that may have been one of the things over the decades that has prevented developments going there because it's so far from the interstate, right? There's business park that's that's several miles to the east that right now we're having issues with getting placed in there. But to the applicant, what's going to make this area successful, and types of interest that you've heard from developers coming in for individual properties? That question's to the applicant.
To the
We are the
applicant.
applicant.
Oh, sorry. Well, to gentleman from Ellers.
He's the finance.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
the finance
Okay.
guru. Perhaps Mr. Regis could answer that.
Yeah, okay,
Our
please.
Economic Development
Sorry,
Director.
So there is interest actually on all four corners of the project area, including Karma. There's interest to the south, on the south side of Ryan Road from the Karma lot, to the west of the Karma lot. In the whole northwest quadrant, there's landowners, single landowners, so it's assembled. They have interest in developing their lot. Public Works Director Morrow brought us together, and we discussed potential for future development there, and they're very interested. We see in the commercial area to the far southwest, there's interest in seeing that property fully developed as well. In addition to, we forecast there will be commercial development near some of the commercial sites that are there now, which could use the service from water and sewer.
Okay.
So landowners all the way around are interested.
Thank you, Mr. Regans. And then last question, it was touched on during the presentation, but obviously the tax revenue would increase over this. What, if any, tax revenue is this property generating now? I think it's probably pretty low, right? But because there's a lot of undeveloped ag land, but what's the net gain based on the proposal to the city?
The estimate of the entire value of the area within that red boundary right now is 7.7 million.
I think that's that table 2 or
Mr. City Attorney, you've got the floor for a second.
It's on table 2.
The project plan projects $102 million tax.
but is it fair to say that right now it's not generating any tax revenues for the city?
Minimal.
Minimal.
Minimal. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for is, these types of projects, this is the right area for this type of TID. So with that, thank you, Mayor. I'm good.
Mr. City Engineer.
So I asked Mr. Regat's question after I saw the packet. I know that Karma was not interested in purchasing the area that's to the southeast of parcel 8. However, that parcel is, I believe, is very much needed. When you look at the Karma development plan, they're actually going to break off 2 commercial lots along Ryan Road. Based on the way DOT has restricted access, the one access needs to occur through that lot. And I believe it's critical to either include it now or we will be talking about expanding the TID in the future to include that lot. I haven't been able to talk to the owner. I did stop by there and talk to the folks who live there, and they are renters. So I would tend to believe that's prime for development as soon as a gas station or whatever business goes in there. This could also be a gas restaurant or what have you. And this would provide the access to the other lots. I think it's very much needed to make the Karma lot more attractive. And I would encourage, if it's not too late, to include that little cutout as part of the TID.
Any comments on that? Either one?
It's not too late.
Yeah, and I think it does have potential value, just that there wasn't currently interest, but for future, yes, would be wise.
Okay. Alderman Day,
No, I'm good.
Counselor? Mr. Regatz, anything else to add to this?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, you've got the floor.
Just with regard to the project plan, I did review it weeks ago. And it's in full compliance with the state statutes and all the requirements thereof. The tax incremental development district. But my signing off on the letter stating that, which becomes part of the project plan, is awaiting to see plan commission and council decisions in case there are any changes, such as what I'm hearing right now.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Day.
If we move forward right now to change the boundary of the TID to include that parcel there, what does that do to the timeline? Can we keep moving forward, or do we have to stop to redo all of that? Be my only question.
If you choose to include that parcel, it would be appropriate as part of the motion
Okay,
to include that, and then we would simply make the relevant changes to the document, and that would advance to council.
okay. At least I know some of this is time sensitive, so I don't want to hold it up if we can.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Counselor?
Have a tax key number or address for that parcel to identify it?
Not right off the top of my head, but
Well, then I would refer to it as the abutting property to the southeast corner of the property to be developed by Karma.
Sounds reasonable.
Is that correct?
Yes.
It's the property abutting the southeast corner of the Karma development property.
North of Ryan, east of Karma.
Anything further on that, Counselor? Yes, if you got an address, Madam Director, what? Oh.
To make sure it's correct. Okay, good.
Is 881-99-0. Address is
Excellent. Thank you.
There are 3 more numbers on the text.
there's almost 9.
Thank you. Excellent. So at this point, are we looking to entertain a motion? City Attorney, excuse me, City Engineer?
Like to make a motion to recommend approval of resolution establishing boundaries of and approving the project plan for tax increment district number 9, City of Franklin, Wisconsin, as amended to include 7220 West Ryan Road and the tax key number quoted. 990.
990.
So will you please read that on the motion again?
See how. it's right.
884-9999-000.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Seeing no, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Before that, can we clarify for the record, the next meeting start time?
Sure. Yes, the next meeting start time and meetings moving forward will take place at 6 p.m. So this is a change that's been discussed and approved by council. So moving forward, future plan commission meetings will be at 6 p.m. And I think the first one is October 5th, October the 5th. All right.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Mr. City Attorney, I've got two motions, one for C1 and one for D1. C1 was the public hearing. So
That's the motion that.
I read the motion for C1.
now there's a item D as in David under business
I
matters.
believe it looks,
the motion to recommend approval of a resolution.
yes,
Well, that's.
it appears to be the same.
it
Okay,
is.
so we'll make sure.
Okay, so-
Twice.
So then we are not having item D.
You already had it.
Good. So what I'm saying is C and D. Okay, good. So now we're at a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.